What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Kind of Funny Gamescast. As always, I'm Tim Gettys, joined by one of the coolest dudes in video games, Greg Miller. What you playing right now?
Thought I could clear out this Borderlands DLC room before the show started. I could not. They're all over me. All right, and I got these cartel thugs coming at me too.
Mm-hmm.
I let everybody down.
And now Hela from Thor Ragnarok's going to be in the Borderlands movie.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting, huh?
Lilith, Blanchett,
Eli Roth plus Borderlands plus Kate Blanchett. Sign me up, I guess. You know,
where could you go wrong?
The first two parts of it.
Like I got a Borderlands gun and everything, huh?
Wow.
You don't miss.
Don't miss. We also got the former informer, Imran Khan.
Howdy.
And rounding us out, the new face of video games, Blessing Adeoye Jr.
Kevin bought me this Sonic the Hedgehog mug.
Oh my god.
And we talked about it on the post show for Games Daily earlier this week, but we haven't talked about it on any official show.
The way you're holding it makes it look like your head, which is hilarious. Yeah.
Oh yeah. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Gamescast.
I want to say that thing is bulbous.
Dude, it's huge, but then like also the top is just like look at this. How am I supposed to wrap my mouth around?
It's an homage to the Gamescast intro.
That's
it's a nice gift. We're not commenting on the quality of the gift. We're commenting on the quality of the mug here as a coffee mug.
Yeah, it's a coffee mug and also doesn't have a handle. And so I just had to like grip Sonic's hairs if I want to drink out of it. Also, when I got it, like part of the back is like broken off. Look at this.
You know, weird thing I've never thought about, and this is going to sound stupid, but I've never thought about that as Sonic's hair.
Like quills, I guess.
Yeah. For some reason, I always jump for it to being more like accurate.
Like his head is shaped like that.
Even though, I always thought it was more like, and I know the original design for the movie, that was clearly hair, that was clearly fur, but we all know that was an abomination. You look at Sonic, you're like, that's just his head's just shaped that way. It's a Bart Simpson
always thought it was hair.
But no, I think about Bart Simpson.
Bart Simpson's hair is hair. Remember when he goes to church, he parts it. He brings it down.
Jesus, man.
He also gets it shaved
off. You could bring your head down if your head was shaped weird. Dinosaurs did that too in Land Before Time, and we didn't say they didn't have hair. It's true. Think about it.
I don't remember that one. I don't remember that movie.
Yeah, I remember Land Before Time.
True.
I don't remember any of the dinosaurs having like that. You're talking about like the jackets. That's a dinosaur though.
This is a dinosaur. That's a whole different species.
Like everybody. Real dinosaurs have those, like the spinies.
Oh man, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Kind of Funny Gamescast each and every week right here on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. We get together to talk about video games and all the things that we love about them. You can get the show ad-free by going to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames, just like our Patreon producers did. Mohammed, Al Tribesman, James Hastings, Sancho West Gaming, Cody Banks, Trent Barry, Julian, the gluten-free gamer, Joseph O. Yusuf, and Scott Radloff. We love and appreciate each and every one of you very, very, very much. You can be like them. Get the show ad-free over at Patreon. You can get it with ads later on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames or roosterteeth.com, where you can watch this show. If you want to listen to it, search for your Kind of Funny Gamescast on your favorite podcast service. It's that damn easy. You can be a part of the show also if you go to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. It's a lot of fun for everybody. Greg, how's that feel in your hand?
This Malawan gun feels pretty good. I'm excited to bring it back in the office. It's from PDP, so it's got that like quality construction of it. They didn't pay us to say this.
Before we jump into,
I could hit Blessing in the fucking head with this thing, and he would be in pain.
Oh no! Before we jump into the big topic today, it's been a while since we've kind of given an update on what we've been playing. Any highlights from you guys?
I've only exist in a Streets of Rage 4 shaped hole these days. Like at some point, I'm just gonna get bored of that game. It's like it's gonna be fine, but I've been playing that. I think I needed a break from Dishonored 2 for a little while, but I really do enjoy that game. It's just the way I'm playing it non-lethally is frustrating in a lot of ways.
Are you making it a thing not to kill anybody?
That's what I wanted to do originally, but I see like every time I finish a level, I'll see like the death counter tick up because like I left somebody on a table with their leg dangling slightly down, and thus the rats got it. Or I watch someone for a little while and then they kill themselves by falling off a cliff or dropping a candle on themselves and burn to death. It's like, how am I supposed to play non-lethally when everyone in this game is suicidal as hell?
I'm more interested in talking about Streets of Rage 4 because, like, obviously the reviews were all good for it. I played it for PS I Love You. I enjoyed what I played, but like I'm not the biggest side scrolling beat 'em up fan. Like usually that was I played Streets of Rage 1 and 2 back in the day. Liked Final Fight a lot and then reviewed it for IGN back in the day. But like you're super addicted to it, right? Imran, I saw your tweets about it over the weekend where you're like, I sat down to play it for a little bit and I ended up beating it 3 times and I've done all this and I've done this.
Yeah, I was writing a thing and I was having writer's block and I was like, I need to play something for a few minutes. And I figured Streets of Rage is a good thing where I could play a level and get out. Then I ended up finishing it. That's like that session. Then
procrastination at its best. You'll love to see it.
I kind of just kept playing. Like I decided to play as the other characters, and then I checked out online mode and started jumping into people's games. It's really fun, and I can't pinpoint exactly why. Otherwise, other than just like as somebody that really likes character action, but never really got that into beat 'em ups as a kid.
Yeah,
I think I'm like whatever needed to click has just clicked. And now I'm actually really enjoying it.
Well, I feel like there's just enough to it, if that makes sense, right? Especially for what you're talking about. Of like you want to get into it, but you don't want something super deep, and you don't need it's not a story game, right? It is like learn the character you're playing as, what's their back attack, what's their special, and then use all that as you get introduced to new enemies and how to beat them, right? And how to get through it flawlessly, and how to when to get health, when to get a weapon.
Yeah, it's pretty much that, and like as I'm playing, I'm understanding more of the game too. Like, oh, the defensive special is like there are bosses that I absolutely hated the first time around, and now I was like, oh, I'm just clowning on them because now I understand what the game actually wants from me. So it's one of those like, and it's a very easy to like skate on top of the ice thing, but once you actually dive in, it's way deeper than I thought it was going to be.
And that's what I was seeing early on, right? Like when you fight through the police station and I got to the commissioner the first time, he just fucking owned my ass. And I was like, all right, that's enough for tonight. And I came back to it days later and I was like, oh, wait, if I do this when he does that, you know what I mean? Like you put it together, the language of it, of what it wants you to do and how it wants you to fight. And when you get into it, it almost becomes not a rhythm game, but you do feel in the groove of it.
Yeah. And also, speaking of which, all the music is amazing. Like
awesome.
Soundtrack it slaps in ways that like I did not expect from a modern Streets of Rage game, because they got like the original composers back, but a bunch of other composers as well. And that plus I think I really dig the graphics. Like I'm a big pixel art fan, but the way everything gels together in terms of like aesthetically works out so well in this game.
Yeah.
Before we started the show, you were saying that you've played about 30 hours and the game takes about an hour and a half to beat. Like that math doesn't add up to me. That's insane. Like, have you platinumed it already?
Not yet. One of the trophies is incredibly difficult. It's getting S ranks on everything on hard, which is like I've gotten S ranks on easy. Getting S ranks on hard seems very difficult to do. I might need to like solicit a co-op partner somewhere along the lines. But like, yeah, they have the original characters, are the Streets of Rage 4 characters, which are like the new hand-drawn characters, and then they have like every character that's ever been in the game so far, like in the previous Streets of Rage games, and they are broken as hell in different ways. So I've been like like some of the trophies are go through the game as a Streets of Rage 1 character, like go through that. So like even though it's only an hour and a half to play through as one, there's a trophy for pretty much every character in the game.
It's awesome. What about you guys? Any other thing people should be looking into?
I've been doing this is something we mentioned a long time ago on a post show, me and Blessing, but I've been doing Supernatural VR on Quest VR or Oculus Quest. I'd say if not every other day, super consistently. You know what I mean? And it's because if you're not unfamiliar, Supernatural is that Oculus Quest exclusive workout program VR game they put out, where it's a subscription based thing. You get your first month free when you sign up. You also get a silicone sweat liner for your Oculus Quest, but then you go into it and there's workouts there that have been put up by trainers. They give you a little intro in the beginning about what you're about to do, get you to stretch out, and then they coach you through it and talk to you. It's dynamic difficulty, so if you start really fucking up, they dial it back down and they'll give you words of encouragement and stuff like that. You're playing in basically all these basically 360 photos of like really nice places in Iceland or whatever, or the Bahamas, or beautiful things, and then they've animated on top of it to kind of do it. But the actual gameplay of it is like Beat Saber. I still have not, and I went into Quest Beat Saber thinking it was there and it wasn't. I haven't done Beat Saber 360, but it's that idea where you have black and white blocks coming at you with triangles on them, and you need to hit them in different orders. But sometimes you'll get ones that come at you, and you have to swing through them to spin to the next like radial part of the 360 degrees, and they come at you that way in line with the music. Music stuff like Lizzo and 21 Pilots, and it's like music you would know from Top 40s radio. Workouts get uploaded. I think they have them on there as daily stuff, but I usually see a couple, maybe every other day there's a new drop of them, but I might just be looking at trainers a different way. And then the big thing about it that separates it from Beat Saber, because when I started it and I did the first playthrough, I was like, oh, this must be what Beat Saber 360 is like. I'm gonna go back to Beat Saber in general. Didn't have 360 on the Quest version, but I played Beat Saber. And it felt,
Beat Saber's on the Oculus Quest, the
Beat Saber 360, where you can play it in 360 degrees.
Yeah, I did it.
Is it I couldn't find it. Is it in Beat Saber or is it in Beat Saber on its own?
It's in Beat Saber. It's just one of the options when you go through the difficulties of like, you know how there's the ones where it's like you choose it where it's no colors or whatever. Yeah, 360 is an option for some of the songs.
Gotcha. I couldn't find it on the songs I was looking at, so I thought it was a different mode or a different thing or whatever, and didn't have it.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
like doing it. It like the few songs I did, because like I'm also not that great at Beat Saber, but I'm still kind of like working my way up. But it is very like you're working this way, and there's like lines coming at you, and sometimes like the tracks to the left or right will come up, but then it starts going. You just start spinning around. And by the end of it, I'm like, I have no orientation.
I'd be terrified. I feel like I'd fall down.
Yeah,
but with the Quest, you're totally fine. Yeah, because there's like nothing holding you back.
I feel like that's like they'll find me dead in my apartment from like Beat Saber, like hitting my head on the couch or something.
Sure. Like, today's the first day where I hit the wall when I was doing Supernatural, where I punched the wall on the side because I wasn't paying attention to my own boundary guidelines. But the way that it separated itself when I went back and did Beat Saber from it is how I felt even playing normal Beat Saber with like the walls coming at you, or you got to sidestep or whatever, or go low. Like I felt like I was standing in concrete, whereas Supernatural is triangles come at you and tell you to either do a squat or do a lunge, just either one of the sides or whatever, and you have to go in them, you have to maintain, you have to rise up, come down, do these kind of things. And so that's where it's gone. And again, I can't compare it to 360 off. Do you you know what, I'll look it up what songs I can actually use it on and give you more impressions later on. But that's where it separates itself from normal Beat Saber, where it is this rhythm, almost dance, workout, aerobics exercise, where it is jumping all around and spinning around, you know, going around like you're talking about in 360 degrees. But it's been crazy that every day I do it, it feels more and more natural. And I get like a different part of the rhythm too, of how I'm supposed to do it. They have these like ghost trails on it to show you like when you hit one of the white or black tiles that you're supposed to, you know, bring it up and coming back on the other one. And the coach will be in your ear about like, you know, opening up your arms. Like, I don't want you just using your wrists. I want this. Like, are you feeling it in your shoulders or your biceps? And before I've been like, no, I'm feeling it in my wrists. And then today, I think I was actually low on my knees, staying loose, jumping around, you know, here and there, using the lunges to get me to one side and then reaching up and crossing my body for the other one and stuff like that. It's really interesting. I still don't know, like, when the free month's up, is it worth $20 a month in terms of this? Now, granted, a lot of people I've seen call out that, oh, well, you know, it's like a gym membership or whatever, but I still don't know if that's worthwhile.
Like, is it though?
Yeah, exactly.
And like Planet Fitness is like $10 a month, right?
Yeah, but it is that thing of I really enjoy it. Like I do look forward to it. I do sweat. Like, you know what I mean? You wear the Apple Watch obviously and set the workout for that, and like it tracks it and it's giving me a workout. It's actually accomplishing what it's out to. I do feel good when I do it. I thought, you know, like as somebody who doesn't like exercising with people, period, and having them correct your form, like when Jen's taking me to yoga or something like that, like it grates on me. I don't want to feel like the center of attention. In this one, where it is the, you know, machine coaching you or telling you it's okay to do this, or if you're starting to miss stuff, like, you know, don't focus on that, focus on this. Like, okay, on these, you know, on this is your final stretch of notes. Like, I want to see power from you, right? Like, it actually works, and I do like it, and I do enjoy it.
Okay, so it's an AI coach. It's not like a Peloton kind of thing where there's an actual person there correcting you.
No, it's not like Peloton.
Is that how Peloton works?
Theoretically,
actual person?
Yeah, you're for Peloton, you're like live streaming into class, right? Yeah.
Like
they're recording workouts too, but yeah, you actually are doing stuff too. Where I think it'll be the coach will be like, "All right, Merck City 64, give me 50% more," like that kind of thing. Yeah, this is all the AI, and I think COVID might have thrown off their plans for how they were going to upload, because the first time I ever put it on and did it, it was a welcome message from the coach of the day, being like, hey, you know, we're sheltering at home too, so usually I'd be there to show you this, that, or the other, but today we're just going in this way. And so they've been opening with, you know, the coach in front of me doing the stretch, coaching you out, and then at the end during the cool down saying the same stuff. But it's cool. Like, I like it a lot, and I'm actually enjoying it, and I look forward to doing it every morning.
Anything else, guys?
I'm playing a lot of Persona 5 Royal.
Yeah.
Last episode, Barrett mentioned during our whole like what is our game of the year so far, right? Barrett waxed poetic about Persona 5 Royal and made me really want to check it out because I played through the original Persona 5, loved it. Had like slight issues with like some of the dungeons and stuff, but overall like had a fantastic experience with Persona 5. And like I've been wanting an excuse to kind of go back to Persona 5. Persona 5 Royal being like a longer version of Persona 5 was kind of a thing that made me go like, I don't know if I want to play 120 hours again.
More.
Yeah, like because like Persona 5 is such a long game, but it's also one of those things where you just want to exist in that world, like you want to keep just playing in that world. And so when Barrett gave his pitch on it, and when I asked him a question, I think I asked him a question along the lines of like, when do you start getting introduced to like new elements, or like does the game feel fresh like as you're playing through like all the same dungeons in the same areas again? And he essentially was like, yeah. And so I went back because of that, and I've actually been having a blast. I'm about 20 something hours in now. I've just finished the second palace, which is Madarame's palace, and yeah, like all the small tweaks and changes that they made to it, I think all seem to make the dungeons and stuff more dynamic, the combat system more dynamic. There are a couple of new characters that I met so far that seem really awesome. And overall, I've been having a blast with it. Like I can't wait to get to the new semester, which now at this point is like still 100 hours away. But
Good Lord.
we're like, strangely enough though, like my second time through this game, I'm having a better time than my first time through this game. And I think it is because like I'm seeing seeds get sown for what is going to happen later on in the game. I'm seeing like characters developed again, and also I'm like the ways in which they're presenting situations I've already been in feel new in like small but cool and unique ways. Like with when you're talking to any of your confidants, right, which are like the special relationships that you have in the game, right? There are characters that you can actually like level up your relationship all the way to level 10. In the original game, you would like hang out with them, you would have like a couple of dialogue choices with them, and you'd level up, and that'd be it. Right now, after pretty much every confidant level, or at least most of them, once you get home from like your activity, they'll then call you up and check on you and be like, hey, like, you know, thanks for helping me out today, or hey, like, how are you doing, or hey, like, hope you got home safe. And small tweaks like that, I think, have gone like a long way into developing these characters even more in a way where there's a character Ryuji, who's one of the first characters you meet in the game. His character, my first time around, I thought he was like fine, but I didn't necessarily like love him. Like he very much struck me as like kind of like that like annoying dude that kind of just like, I don't know, kind of gets on your nerves sometimes, but you hang around him because he's cool. You know, he's still friendly, he's still the homie, but like sometimes he just needs to shut up. Yeah. Nick, this time around, some of that extra dialogue.
I was wondering who we were gonna insult.
I didn't know who, and I feel like Nick was the safest answer.
I didn't have anybody in mind as I was saying. In fact, like I feel like he's kind of the trope of like Sokka in The Last Airbender, which I'm also watching right now. But like he's that kind of character where it's like, we love you, but at the same time, like you're that annoying dude.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. This time around, like there's certain new dialogue that was added that made me go like, you know what, man, this guy's pretty cool. I kind of like this guy. Like he's the homie. Like of course, like he gets on my nerves every now and then, but like overall, like he's the homie. He's chill. He's here for me. He's all that stuff. And so, you know, I've been really enjoying that aspect. And a thing that I found to be interesting while playing the game that I didn't necessarily foresee is that it's been a great game to play as an escape, right? As we're all kind of trapped at home, because the whole point, or a large part of the game, is being social, exploring Tokyo, like building relationships, building friendships, talking to people. And I feel like this game has been not necessarily like replacing that for me by any means, but it's been a breath of fresh air, right? Almost, I mean, not literally, but almost literally, in the sense that like I get to just hang out, you know, and be outside and see my relationship develop with all these different characters. And so it's been that for me in the way that I also played Telling Lies last week, and Telling Lies is a game that is all about not building relationships, but like seeing people's relationships play out via phone calls and webcams and all that stuff. Like these two games have been kind of the opposite side of the same coin in some ways, given the lockdown situation that we're in. And both of them, I enjoyed my experience with Telling Lies very much. But it's been a cool like dynamic thing to see, like, oh yeah, as I'm playing Telling Lies, like I'm starting to feel away because like, yeah, all this is going on through video chat, and like, I don't know, it's hitting close to home in a way that I didn't foresee. And then Persona 5, I'm like, oh yeah, I get to kind of get out and hang out. Like, it's been a really fun experience through that. And so both Telling Lies and Persona 5, played, enjoyed, recommend, obviously.
One of the things I was thinking about when Barrett was talking about last week was like, an issue I had with Persona 5 was that the pacing of the villains was kind of off. Because like you had Kamoshida, who is a teacher raping his students. And then you have the next guy is like, oh, he steals paintings from his students. Like, that's bad. I agree. Not as bad as the first guy.
That's my thing too. Kamoshida is the most villainous character in Persona 5, and he's like the first one you encounter.
He's your starter palace.
Yeah, he's your starter villain. And like, I feel like most of the villains in Persona 5 don't hold a candle to Kamoshida, because you feel a way about Kamoshida because he has a direct impact on basically like all of your starting party. And so by the time you get past him, and by the time you're meeting all these different villains, it's like, yeah, like you steal paintings, but this guy is an asshole over here. Like that guy beat up like my friend. Like, like it's different. But yeah, I'm with you in terms of the pacing of the villains is kind of off in a way where I kind of wish Kamoshida kind of came back around to be the last villain. I understand why he didn't, because that wouldn't necessarily make sense. But
yeah, I was kind of expecting it the entire time. I was like, no, they're bringing him back. They can't just like have that guy as a starter. And no, like
he's the perfect asshole. Like, because he's just like he's that buff dude, like that buff jock who you're like, man, fuck this guy. And like obviously like he's an asshole, but you get rid of him pretty early, and so it's like, I guess I did the job. I guess
yeah.
What we're doing.
That's why I never got too much further, right? And that's why at 35 hours I was like, I'm done. I stopped him, and then I stopped the guy who stole paintings, and I was like, you know what, peace out. Superman ain't freaking stopping bank robbers every day. He's stopping Lex Luthor after a while.
Speaking to that, like, Bless, you also, like Greg, prefer Persona 4 over Persona 5. Do you think that playing through Royale might change that?
It's hard because Persona 4 is literally like my second favorite game of all time. And I think a lot of that comes down to the characters and the story. Like I feel like there's the characters in Persona 4, they do such a good job of making you really connect with those stories. Like, I don't know, like not like, Nanako and I think his name is Dojima, Nanako's dad. And like and Yosuke and Chie and all of them, like I feel like those characters are so unique and dynamic in a way where I just don't. I love the cast of Persona 5. I just don't love them as much as the cast of Persona 4, where that definitely is like a big reason why I prefer Persona 4. But as I'm playing through Persona 5 Royal now, like I am starting to grow fonder of it and like appreciate all of the small details and like the visual style of it obviously being incredible. Like the second time around, I'm enjoying that stuff a lot more in a way where if they really do stick the landing the way that I've heard people talk about it in that last semester and in the new content, then possibly I could take the place of Persona 4 for me. But it's hard. Persona 4 is just so unique and like holds such a special place in my heart as a game.
There you go. So now, guys, I want to move on to the topic of the show, that being, what game launches were we most hyped for? Now, to start this off, because I've been thinking a lot, we're in a weird place right now where I think for the first time ever in video games, we're at this point where, with the exception, I guess, of The Last of Us, all the big releases that are imminent are out now, and we don't really have too many things that we're looking forward to. There's like ideas of things we're looking forward to, but there's not like the hype that we saw the last couple months of release, right?
Sure.
So looking back on our lives and how video games have changed so much, to jump this off, I want to talk about midnight releases, right? We've all been to a couple in our lives, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
My question is, what was the last midnight release you went to?
When you say midnight release, are you talking about just picking up a physical game at midnight, or like it's an event going on?
I'm talking about going somewhere to physically get a game at midnight. Because I'm struggling to remember the last time I actually did that. I think it might have been Street Fighter 4.
I think if we count
Really?
alongside the console, for me, it was like Breath of the Wild and the Switch. Because granted, I was working that night too, so I was also like at the Best Buy just there, and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna take this home. But like, I can't think of another one I've done since then. Because honestly, like
even
digital.
then though, did you have one pre-ordered or?
I had one pre-ordered, yeah.
And were you picking up your pre-order at that time as well, or are you just
Yes.
covering it?
I was there at Best Buy working at Best Buy. Like I was selling people Switches, and I was like, when that was all over, I
Got it.
picked up my Switch and also picked up my brother's and sent it to him. But yeah,
Greg Miller, I see you thinking.
Yeah, well, it's not a. I'm in Imran's boat of like. So growing up in the burbs of Chicago, Glen Ellyn, DuPage County represent. Obviously, I was going over to Stratford Square Mall all the time getting my games, and the EB in the mall, which would later become obviously a GameStop, and the Funcoland over there, they didn't do midnight releases. So growing up, it wasn't something I was doing often, right? And so then I start racking my brain to figure out what it was. And obviously, like, I think of the PlayStation 2, obviously, which I've told the story a million times or ever of lining up for it. But as I even go back, and I think you include working stuff when we worked events or whatever. I want to say it might have been the launch of the PlayStation 3, covering it for the newspaper, for the Tribune. That was the last time I was at a store for a midnight release. And then I'm hazy on that because there was definitely some time when we were working at IGN that I went downtown for some release, but it wasn't a game. It might have even just been a Halo. It might have been a Halo where we were down there for some Halo event
Halo.
that IGN wanted people to. Well, I mean, like clearly I'm not the guy for that, right? Like I just went because it was like I forget if IGN was partnered with something. But why I started thinking is that I think I have a video of me working. It's from my perspective, but escorting out the person's first PlayStation 3.
That's awesome.
On YouTube, and it's gonna take me a second. Yeah, here we go. Kevin, I'm gonna send you this video on Slack here, and this is me at midnight in Columbia, Missouri, illegally recording inside a Walmart for my stupid blog. Kevin, I'm sending it to your personal one, not asking.
All right, I'll grab it in a second.
Oh, almost crashed Slack, didn't it? There it is. Oh, there it went twice. But yeah,
this is honestly blowing my mind that it's been so long for you guys. Like PS3.
Like here's the thing: is I feel like obviously for me it stops at 2007 because I went to work at IGN where it was suddenly we were reviewing stuff. So I think we were getting things ahead of time, and if you were. I think we got everything ahead of time, right? Even if it was you're waiting for. I'm trying to think at IGN what's the last game I remember being an event where we all went to the mall and bought it or all did whatever. And like, I think of the original Red Dead where we were at Judges Week. And I remember me, Damon, and Ty Root weren't allowed into whatever Judge thing they were. So we drove to a LA area Best Buy and went in there and all bought Red Dead and left. And I think the only reason we didn't get it was that, obviously there was a shipment from Rockstar that came to IGN, but it was that we were already down here doing our thing. So we might as well just get it. So we had it for the weekend and we're ready to go. And so, yeah, like in terms of a personal thing, I think I was always, as a kid, not having midnight releases, number one, but as a kid who was like, I felt ahead of the curve on what video games were. I was always looking for people to break street dates, and you always found people who broke street dates. Yeah. Like that's where it goes back to, you know what I mean? Like when you ask the question of like video game launches, I'm sure, people would think of me telling my stupid PlayStation 2 story again, but I go back to WrestleMania 2000 where I was just so obsessed about it and old enough to have a car that I could drive my car or, the family car. And I remember every day after school at high school calling through the lineup of stores, asking if people had it out early, if they were whatever. And I'll never forget calling that Walmart and being like, hey, yeah, electronics department, get transferred to electronics department. Some person picks up who has no idea what the fuck they're talking about. I'm like, yeah, do you have WrestleMania on N64? Totally ready for them to say no. And they're like, yeah. And it was like 3 days ahead of launch. I'm like, I'm sorry, what did you say you have it? And like, yeah. And I'm like, and it's out right now.
Go.
Yeah. And it was. I ran to the car. I jumped in the car, drove very crazily and stupidly to get there. And I'll never forget. I've told the story on IGN podcast, I think, probably even our own. It's just a blur. But driving so fucking excited driving, and I was driving along the road. The Walmart's over here, and it's the side of it, just the brick side of Walmart. And I looked out at my mirror, and there was 2 kids running, like, but they were like kids like 13, 12 or whatever. I was like, oh, that's cool. And I looked over, and one of them was wearing a Cactus Jack shirt, like a Mick Foley shirt. And I was like, holy fuck! Like, I am not losing to these fucking kids.
It's about to
like,
turn into a parking lot
legally turned and ran in there, like, do you have a 2000? Like, yeah, and they had like 1 million that were out, and they just gave me one. I went home, and I remember it was that was the one where I went home, and it would have been a Thursday where I'd gone from high school to pick up the school newspaper that I would have put on the lunch tables and Friday morning. And I got that game, and I went back home. I picked up the papers. I drove to Poe's house, and I was like, hey, you need to put these out because I'm not coming to school tomorrow. You need to. I know that you don't give a shit about newspaper. He's like, what? How do you do it? And I'm like, well, I go in there between every lunch break. He's like, I'm just going to put them all down to the first lunch break. I'm like, good enough. See you later.
That's all we
went
need.
home and just fucked off and played a WrestleMania 2000. And it was like that thing where I, dragged my comforter and pillows downstairs and like literally played, like couldn't keep my eyes open, slept, woke up, played the rest of the day, just fucking playing WrestleMania 2000 because it was so goddamn good.
I love it, man.
Kevin, do you have that video ready?
931-8896
yeah, we played it in the
was
background.
the phone number for Toys R Us, where I would call religiously about any game release, trying to get that date, trying to break that street date. My favorite breaking of the date story I have is I went to I was at the midnight release for Soul Calibur 2 on GameCube. It was one of the first times I ever went out for one of these things that they had. It was over at Stonestown at EB. And eventually, like, I was there, we were waiting in line or whatever. And the guy came out and he was like, hey, does anyone in this line also want to get F-Zero GX on GameCube? And I was like, fuck yeah. Like that, but that game didn't come out for another like 20 days.
Oh, wow.
And he's like, you guys can buy it now. And I remember having to call my mom and being like, hey, I need you to figure out a way to like get me money right now. Cause like, I was like, I need this. And she said like her friend who lived kind of in the area literally drove to me to give me money.
That's awesome.
Because my mom didn't have a car. And it was like, fine, fuck it, we'll do this. And the guy got me a copy of F-Zero. So I got home with Soul Calibur and F-Zero. I was so excited for Soul Calibur that going into this, but then I had F-Zero. I'm like, well, fuck it, I'm playing that first. So I played that. I'll never forget though, going back in a couple weeks to like whatever, buy another game, look at some shit. And the guy was fired because totally.
Wow.
I mean, he broke that street date by so much. And like, I was like, oh, what the fuck happened to that guy? Like, oh, yeah, no, he totally fucked up. He said he was allowed to sell it. He was not. So I had F-Zero. It was great.
That's
Kevin,
funny.
can we see that video of the PS3 with the sound up? I haven't watched it since I recorded it in 2006.
Yeah, sorry. I'm moving things around. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Moving them around.
There it is.
Let's take the mute off. You guys can't hear it, can you?
Nope.
No.
Sorry, wasn't equipped for sound. Give me 1 second.
It's all good, dude. Calm down.
It's garbage truck on fire. What people wanted, they got what they got. That's how it is, people. That's what.
But so eventually, Greg, what was your first then? Midnight
My first
launch.
what?
All right.
Midnight launch.
Hold on, let's see this.
What's it feel like?
Oh man, it feels great.
Oh, I almost felt like crap though.
Yeah, I know. What'd you think when the check got declined?
I was like, what? And then I thought about it. We never had to write a check before ever.
Yeah.
Like for other than like electronics, like the bills.
Was it worth it?
Oh yeah.
Well, I couldn't tell you until I opened.
They don't know. It's about to get layered.
Yeah, exactly. What did you buy that $600 system for? You fucking did nothing for it. So what was my first midnight launch then? Probably the PS2. It probably was. Where, yeah, you remember. Yeah, that was. Yeah, I'm thinking in my head, right? It's got to be right because I remember it being a rare thing back when I was growing up that video game stores or any store would do that and make a big deal about selling something at midnight. Usually, like I said, it was a Walmart or a Target not understanding what they had or not giving a shit if it said don't sell before and just putting it out because games weren't where they are now. And I don't think there was as many eyes on them and attention on it. And it wasn't as big of a business. And so, yeah, I think it was PS2 where, I had known I wanted a PS2 from the jump, and I forget why, but I didn't get my pre-order in early enough, so I got a pre-order at Funcoland, but it was very much like, you're not getting it on launch date, like you're not getting it October 26th. I was like, fuck, all right. And so my friend Adam Brown I went to high school with him. He worked at Meijer, which, if you don't know, is like a Walmart superstore, right? That does a whole bunch of different. He worked there and was like, I checked with the electronics department. They're staying, they were 24 hours, which again, we're talking 2000, right? Was a rarity in the burbs of Chicago in a lot of ways. And he was like, they are staying open. So like, I remember it, like, you're a kid. I remember driving to St. Charles, where this was, or Batavia maybe, which isn't that far, but was far enough that it was a weird thing to do on a school night, to go over there and, fucking drive to the middle of nowhere. And it was that we went to school, and then I went right from school straight to there, and Adam couldn't come for whatever reason. I forget if he had practice or maybe he was working in a different department, but it was me with 2 folding chairs, my backpack with the EGM PlayStation 2 guide, and then a bunch of other stuff.
It's like that goddamn thick.
Yeah, it's at the office, I guess. I still have them, or maybe it's in there in Lucy's room on the bookshelf. I'll never get rid of it. And it was that, I drove over there, walked in the electronics department where Adam swore they were going to sell it at midnight, and walked in and nothing. There's 2 clerks there talking at the cash register, and they looked at me with my chair and bag, and I was just like, I'm here for the PlayStation 2 launch. I'm not a loser. And they're like, I'll never get, like, I just rolled his eyes like, all right, sit here. And I folded up the little chair, sat there, and about 20-30 minutes later, somebody else showed up, and I was like, this is my friend Adam's seat. And then and they're like, all right, no big deal. And then throughout the night, more and more people came, and it was that weird electricity and energy that, again, like I don't know. There it is. Good job, Kevin, bringing it up. It's a weird energy that, if you've never done a midnight release or haven't done one in a while, or maybe you don't remember your first one, since I did so few of them because they were so few and far between growing up, like, it was this energy, this excitement, this nervousness, you know what I mean? Like, I was a kid, so in high school I had no credit card or anything like that, so I had $370 in cash on me in a money belt that I had from France that I was wearing underneath my shirt. Like, the line gets there, and then people start milling about, and I remember getting super defensive about, like, well, I'm number 1 in line. Like, Adam's number 2. Like, don't, you know what I mean? Like, what the fuck's going on? There was an argument of how many systems there actually were. And I remember, like,
so
checking
stressful
every 45 minutes with they're like, you're number 1. Like, we got one. You're going to get it. Calm down. You know what I mean? And then finally at midnight, which of course felt like the end of, 9 hours is how long I waited for that thing. Felt like this incredibly long time, when in reality it wasn't at all. You finally got my hands on it, right? And got it, and was so excited, and went back to Adam's house, and we plugged his in and played like SSX for like 2 seconds. And then his mom was like, you guys should really go to bed, because it was a school night. We were going to school the next day. And I remember going to sleep in the basement or whatever, and like not being able to sleep, and waking up and turning it on, and like just pulling it out of the box and holding it, just like, I fucking have it. Because this is the story of course, that I got the job at Walmart, being a cashier for the summer. And I told my mom, like, point blank, of like, I'm doing this, but I'm doing this mainly to buy this PlayStation thing in October. And like, I'm not, what I mean? She's like, whatever, like, be able to pay these bills, but do that, whatever. And I remember hating that job at Walmart so much that on my lunch break, I'd go out to not FYE, what was it back in the day? One of those DVD stores that was in the mall, strip mall. No, it wasn't Sam Goody. It doesn't matter. But those kind of stores where I bought like Ghostbusters and Mallrats DVDs, because we didn't have a DVD player, but the PS2. So I'm buying DVDs in like June, and then on my lunch break, I'm sitting there reading the back of the box while I sit in my car, dreading going back into believing. Yeah, watching the deleted scenes, listening to the commentaries.
Bless, I'm interested in yours. What is your first and last midnight launch?
My last one is honestly probably Red Dead Redemption 2. Right? Like I didn't stop. Yeah, like I didn't stop doing midnight launches until midnight launch in the sense that it was like a 9 p.m. launch, because Red Dead 2 came out when I was in Seattle. But I didn't stop doing that until my Best Buy Gamer Club unlock like went up. And then that's when I was like, well, I guess I'm gonna buy games on Amazon and get Amazon Prime. But like, yeah, like midnight launches have been like a regular thing for me over the last, like, I guess 7 or so years. Like the first one I can remember, and this is probably gonna shock y'all, is probably GTA 5. Like
GTA 5.
Yeah, like,
oh my god, I remember San Andreas.
Yeah, like, and I think it comes down to kind of like where I was at the time, because in 2013 I was in college, and for the most part, up to that point, like if I was buying a game, I'd usually be buying it cheap. Like I'd be buying like the $10 games at GameStop because I just didn't have the disposable income to be buying games at full price. Or like even earlier than that, like I would borrow games from friends. Like I was never really like on time when it came to games coming out because I never had that disposable income. And my parents weren't actually that huge on buying games for me. They were always like of the mind of like, we're not gonna let this kid get distracted from like his studies in high school and all that stuff.
That worked out great.
Yeah, exactly. That worked out perfect. And so like I would always have to find ways to either buy games that are like $10 or $15 or find some sort of deal where it's like GameStop, like I could get like the buy 2 get 1 free that they do all the time. And so GTA 5 was probably the first game where I did the midnight release because that was the first instance I remember it being like, I have to have this game. Like I can't not have this game. But then also like I was at a point where I had the disposable income to buy that game, right? Like I couldn't buy games regularly, but I could set aside some money to get this one game because I need it. And so I remember like going to GameStop that midnight. It was like the college campus GameSpot at the University of Illinois on Green Street. And I remember being shocked because the line was out of this world. Like the line went down the block. And in the GameStop, they were basically like having a party where they had like and I hope I'm not snitching on this GameStop. I don't even know if this GameStop is still there anyway. But you know, they set up like Street Fighter. People were playing Street Fighter 4 on PS3. People were having a good time. I think in my mind I remember there being ping pong, but that has to be impossible. They must have had
impossible.
But
where the fuck you put the table?
Tables in this GameStop. They must have had some other like. It might have been like the sandbag game where you're like throwing the bag of sand into like, is it just called bags?
Is bags or cornhole?
I could believe that they had ping pong because Rockstar did make table tennis. So I could see like a GameStop manager going like, well, these people like Rockstar stuff. Let's have some table tennis.
Let's bust out table tennis. It must have been bags because that was definitely like a popular thing to do in Champaign, Illinois. Oh, yeah. And so, but like they had activities going on. People were chilling and hanging out and all that stuff. And I remember that night being crazy too because like there were quite a few people where I was like, oh snap, like Sam, what are you doing here? And he was like, oh, I'm picking up GTA 5. Like there was enough people to where like there were multiple instances of me like recognizing folks and being like, oh, and like not even just folks from college, but like folks from like high school and being like, oh snap, what's up, man? I haven't seen you in a minute. And so the
GTA 5 launch was the cultural event of your town.
Honestly, yes. Like it I mean, at least for my age bracket, like it felt that way. It felt like a huge event. Because GTA 5 was really that game where it was like everybody was showing up for it. Everybody needed that game, and that's the first one I remember. And then yeah, like midnight launches, especially when I got that disposable income to mess around with, and was able to like got to a point where I was able to kind of attend those regularly, especially for games that I really wanted physical. Like you know, midnight releases became somewhat of a regular thing. Because I would prefer physical over digital. And so, yeah, I up until very recently, like I did quite a few of them.
That's so cool.
Yeah, man.
Imran, what was your first?
My first ever. I don't know if this counts because I was like 4 years old, but like, because remember NES games were real fuzzy about when they actually came out.
Oh yeah.
So like there was the Nintendo Zone inside Toys R Us. I remember having the direct line for whatever reason to the Nintendo Zone, and my mom had just taught me how to use the phone. So I think I was calling like about Castlevania 3 every day because there was like a weird cartridge shortage going on around at the time. And like at some point, the guy was just like, "Look, I will tell you if we have some." I was like, I don't believe you. Hung up.
You trying to play me, man.
Dude, the idea of a 4-year-old Imran sitting there with what I assume are the exact same glasses you're wearing now on the phone to have a very serious conversation with this dude being like, no, you're not going to call me. And I know that.
I don't believe you.
But I did call at some point. I remember saying like, can you connect me to the Nintendo Zone or something like that? And they did. And it was like, and the guy immediately just knew it was me. And he's like, "You're calling about Castlevania, right?" It's like, "Yeah." It's like, "Yeah, we have some." So I like smash the phone into the thing, and like go to my mom. I was like, Mom, we have to go to Toys R Us right. Might have not been in Toys R Us because Toys R Us would have been in Memphis, and that was probably too far a drive. But it was like it was close to closing for already before we even left. But I was like, we need to do this right now. If we wait till tomorrow, I will die. So we did up some like might have been a Walmart because I think we got groceries at the same time or whatever. But like some reason for it to make sense for us to leave the house and go get this. We go there and we go to the Nintendo Zone to like Castlevania 3 right now. And guys like pulls it out of the thing or pulls it from underneath the counter, puts it on the thing, starts ringing it up, and then in this moment of like, I don't have any money. How do people pay for things? So I just gotta like wait at that counter and like until because my mom's in eyesight, like she sees me and I'm like waving her down, but she's like, I'm doing groceries, I don't care. And does like grabs all her stuff and comes over and like, hey, this costs $50. Please pay that. And then she just says no, and we start trying to leave. And I'm like, wait, let me explain to you why this is so important. I forget what the actual reasoning was, but I think I told her like if I didn't get this now, I would never have another chance to get it. Like never in my life. So she, I guess, not knowing enough about video games, or just thought that I was. If I'm willing to lie to that extent, then surely I should get this. Like we go back, we pick it up, we buy the thing, we go home. I fall asleep in the car, and do not like. She just puts me in bed, and like whatever. I wake up the next day convinced that entire thing was a dream.
Oh, that's awesome.
I don't know where the thing is until like at some point I think my brother tells me like or says something about it. I was like, that must have actually happened. So I go to my mom and actually try to find it. She's like, yeah, I hid that until your grades get better. Or not grades get better.
my
Like,
God.
Man,
I was like, oh,
that's a move my parents would make.
yeah, that was my first one. That was yeah. I would if that counts as a midnight launch. The only other one I can remember like being a physical part, like going there specifically for a midnight launch at midnight, was the game I was probably the most hyped for in my life was Super Smash Bros. Brawl.
I love
Oh,
that you
man.
brought this up. Please tell your story.
So I usually not much for a midnight launch guy. I could wait till next day, or I would find the people who like it fell off the back of a truck and they were selling it a little bit early. Whatever. This one I was so desperate to like. If you weren't around at that time, the Smash Bros. Brawl hype cycle was the most insane thing in the world. Like Japan time,
dude.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I remember staying up till like 3 a.m. to see
every night.
Yeah, and the update would be like Bowser has claws now, and like, holy shit, he's got claws. And then like I remember working like a job that required me to go to sleep at a certain time, so I would wake up an hour earlier so I could wake up, see the thing on my laptop, freak out, and like message all my friends like, oh my god, I can't believe this. And that was basically for like a year and a half of that happening.
What a moment.
Yeah, it was the most hyped, like I'm not even kidding, the most hyped I've ever been for a video game.
Yeah.
So when
I agree.
I went to the midnight launch. It was at a GameStop. I typically reserved it at a GameStop that was not part of a mall because I didn't want to risk the mall being closed.
The mall being closed, yeah.
Yeah. So like this one's just part of a strip mall, like on its own outside. When I got there at like 7 p.m., there were already people like waiting outside. And I had a pre-order. I was safe, but I still wanted to be as early in the picking up process as I could. So I was like fourth or fifth people, and I was willing to wait 5 hours to make that happen. And this GameStop had like Blessing described, like that party kind of atmosphere. They had like sandwiches. There was a tournament of people playing Settlers Melee. And at some point they move us from the outside into the like inside the store to like, because they want us to buy more stuff. They want us to not just be waiting outside in the bitter cold. I remember overhearing someone say, oh yeah, they called this guy's name, but he wasn't around, so they gave away his copy. And I know in retrospect that cannot possibly be true because they haven't called anyone's name yet. But in my head, I'm like, fuck that. If I'm not there to pick up my copy, then whatever. So I'm sitting there, they're holding like a Specialist Melee tournament. And there's obviously better Specialist Melee players in the world, but I'm not that bad at that game. So I was playing that. And while the tournament was going on, they were calling names. I hear them, I think, call my name. And there's a thought process of, should I finish this match? Or should I just go do that? And that thought process lasted a second. I just literally dropped the controller on the ground and just walk away
Oh
and
my
just go
God.
straight to the counter, like me. That's me. Give me my copy. So I picked it up, and they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna play some together if you want to hang out." I recall just laughing and like walking back to my car and like literally speeding, breaking the law on the way home to just
That's the best.
to like put that disc in my Wii and just start playing that game. I think I played like the adventure mode for about 2 hours, and some part of me was like, "Yeah, this is kind of boring," but on the other hand, it was like, "No, this game rocks."
But this is hype, though.
Yeah, the hype was still like alive. But yeah, I think that was like my first real midnight launch.
I love that, man. I will never forget my Smash Brothers Brawl launch experience. Some parts of the story are not true. I was just like you, and I could not wait to get my hands on this game. And I will never forget the day that it leaked. And I was like, I will move hell and high water to get this game however the fuck I can get this game. And there was these things called torrents. You may or may not know. I don't know if this happened. I don't know if this bid happened or not.
I don't know if this happened or not.
This would never happen.
I don't know about this whole thing. But if it were to have happened, it would have been the first time ever that a Wii game required a dual layered Blu-ray disc. And good Lord, finding one of those was so hard to do at the time, but I eventually found one with Kevin. We went to a Best Buy, not the Best Buy near us. It was like 3 Best Buys away. And we got these verbatim Blu-ray discs, or not. I'm not sure if we did or not.
Nobody knows if this actually.
Nobody knows.
This may or may not be a
this
story.
But we got it home and was able to get it on the disc and play this game. And it was the entire game with the exception of cutscenes. They were the one thing that had not leaked. So we had Smash Brothers Brawl approximately a month and a half before the game came out.
Wow.
And if I remember correctly, it was a worldwide launch.
Yeah, I think
because it got delayed from November or whatever to March. And we had this game. We're freaking the fuck out, obviously. But the thing we were freaking out the most about was that before the launch happened of this game, there was a tournament. Nintendo was doing a tournament where they were going to come and preview the game in San Francisco. And there was a Smash Brothers Brawl tournament. No one's played Brawl. We've played Brawl.
Okay.
So we're like, oh shit. So me and Curran waited in line for like 12 hours to get into this tournament because, of course, everyone's trying to get their hands on the game for the first time. We're there talking so much shit to everyone in line because we're like, we're about to fuck y'all up. Because Meta Knight was playable, Ike was playable. It's like, these people don't know how to play them. We have so much experience now from playing this game. And I'll never fucking forget us getting in that tournament. We kicked so much ass. So much. I eventually ended up getting killed. Curran kept going, kept winning. And the dude that he ended up beating was so good at Melee and so appalled that he lost. It's this dude named Simon, who was probably 10 years older than us at the time.
This sounds like a movie.
We're still like
you might know him better as Hungry Box.
No, it's this dude.
I'll never lose again, he said.
We were like 17 and 18, and he was definitely closer to 30. And he was there with his girlfriend, and he lost to Curran and was so fucking mad. He was just like, "How did you know how to do that? Like, what? How did you play Meta Knight that well?" Because he's doing the thing like flying under the stage, dodging all. It was offensive, like what we did for sure. Was it cheating? I don't know. We didn't do it. But my favorite part of the story is that the Simon guy was just like, no, for reals, what the fuck? And we ended up telling him. And he's like, look, I need to play this game. If I pay you guys, can I come over and play it?
Oh my God.
Me and Kurt are like, yeah.
Oh my God.
So this grown-ass man who's my age now, but to me being a teenager was an adult, was going to pay, we charged him $60.
Jesus Christ.
And he came to my mom's house. And it was just me, him, and Curran playing Smash Brothers Brawl. And we ended up playing all night. We became friends with this dude. We ended up playing with him for years to come.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
But my
That's actually
favorite,
a beautiful story.
this leads into us going into the Brawl midnight launch that also had a tournament at GameStop. And me, Simon, and Curran fucked people up. We didn't even have a copy pre-ordered. We just went to it was awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I think like for again, I mean, it's different stories or whatever, but like for the Brawl launch, right? Like that, I remember that I had just started IGN. I was looking around trying to find it, but I can't. But I remember having like a party at my house. Yeah, and when I mean my house, I mean the first place we lived. With my ex-wife and this fucking shitty ass attic apartment, and like Craig was there and Andre was there, and I remember for some reason
Craig Baradon?
No, Craig Harris.
Oh, Harris.
Baradon,
Yeah, okay,
Baradon's
okay, yeah.
too cool to fucking play Smash. He's out there working out, drinking a protein shake. No, but we were there, and I remember for some reason, maybe Bozon was in town too. I think Bozon might have been there. And I'm also probably confusing this with the Mario Kart launch party. Maybe I'm thinking the Mario Kart launch party. But I remember having this weird Nintendo thing there because it was one of my franchises. It must have been Kart on my birthday. And somebody brought the Budweiser mixed with Clamato. Like that was like their joke that we all took shots of because like we're celebrating the release of this game we were all so hyped for. Like that's it for me is like I don't have many midnight release stories, but I have so many stories attached to the release of a video game and why it mattered to me and what it actually, meant to me. And so like, for this thing, for the title of the show or whatever being like, your most hype you've been for a game launch, right? Like, I think that list is so much longer than midnight releases. And I think,
Same.
granted, it's just, I think, how you're raised or where you are, like, the burbs of Chicago at the time weren't doing this. So there was no angle. And even Columbia, I think about the release of GTA 3. And I remember, being out with Antlers, and it was one of our friends was going to perform that night at a bar or whatever, and they could get everybody in. And they asked me, "Are you coming?" And I'm like, "Oh, I might have Vice City." And I was like, "Are you coming?" And I'm like, "No, GTA Vice City's coming out, and if it's really good, I'm not going out." And one of the guys who I was with just turns to the other guy's like, "He's not coming out. Like I guarantee that game's great." And it was that thing of like, it was, but it was, I would always go pre-order the games and then get them when the stores opened or when I could get over there. Like, it was never like it was always, regular business hours that I remember going over for stuff growing up or getting games. It was just how it was run.
I remember being late for a job interview because Marvel vs. Capcom 3 was out and I wanted to go pick it up. So like I arranged the schedule. So I figured, okay, maybe I could drive there, but if I take the bus, I can take the bus back and I would end up at the mall. At the mall, it would give me an excuse to buy Marvel vs. Capcom 3. So I did that, but the bus was late, so I ended up being late for the job interview itself. I got the job anyway, but it was a thing of the main calculus was if I could end up in a situation where I can buy Marvel vs. Capcom 3, I will buy that game. So I'm going to engineer a situation, regardless of what else happens, to end up in there.
I love it.
Yeah, I'm looking at it too. I think it was, if I'm right. Oh God, which one was it? No, it would have been the other one. It was when same deal when I had one of my summer jobs. I think it is. I'm trying to find these are all YouTube videos, of course. But one of the ECW wrestling games came out because, of course, this is all that my life ran around, right? 2000.
Video games, wrestling, you're there.
ECW Anarchy Rules, right? When did it come out? August 15th, 2000. So let me run that through in my head real quick. I think that's the job I'm thinking of. Yes. And it was that this game was coming out and I was so fucking hyped for it. And I was working at Petland, the pet shop I worked at. And it was that thing where I couldn't get the day off work. And I was like, all right, no big deal. And so then the August 15th came around. I went and bought the fucking game and then just called in sick. I was like, sorry, I can't come in. Don't feel good or whatever. And then like a moron, I told one of our coworkers who was the son of our boss. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. I mentioned that to him weeks later. Then I fucking quit the job anyway, so who cares? But it was this whole thing of what the fuck was I thinking? Why would I do that? But I had to be there for the hot ECW Anarchy Rules acclaim action.
The last one, I've told this story before, so I'm going to keep it quick, but I got to talk about Halo 2. Smash Brothers Brawl is undeniably my number one most hyped game that I was aware of leading up to the launch and being there for the launch, and it got a little weird because I got it early. But Halo 2 was definitely the game that I was looking forward to the most and counting down the days to November 9th, being able to go for the midnight release. And I've told the story before on podcast where it was me, Kerr, and Alfredo, them both way better at Halo, way more into Halo than I was, but I was still in the zeitgeist with them. And they were fighting over who was going to get to be first in line, to be the first person to get that beautiful steel case box. You know, you guys know what I'm talking about? That it was the silver with just the blue 2 on it. Oh,
Yeah, I've seen it.
so nice. And we were there for hours, and I was third in line, the two of them fighting constantly over who got to get it first. And by the time we went in, both of their pre-orders had weird issues, so I got it first. And it was just like the best fucking thing ever. But that night was so memorable because we were young ass kids. We were like probably all 13 at that point. And we're at this GameStop, the one at Lakeshore, right near our office currently. And it was just us for so long, but eventually the line starts getting longer and longer and went around the block. And they were holding to that midnight release. They're like, no matter what, we are not opening before midnight, like whatever. But they opened copies of the game inside the store, and we saw them playing multiplayer from outside the window.
My God,
and they were totally taunting us. Like, it was so fucked up, but it just built the hype even more.
Sure.
But the hype was ruined when the Blockbuster across the street, and when I say across the street, I mean across the parking lot. And when I say parking lot, I mean it is 2 lanes. It is like 20 feet away. At 9 p.m., some dude casually just walks out like, did you just get Halo? It's like, oh yeah, they've been selling it all day.
That's funny.
Our whole line was freaking out, but it's a bunch of kids. So all of us were like, well, we can't, we don't have the money.
Yeah, what are we going to do? We invested our pre-order here, right?
Return it, whatever. Yeah. So, we had 3 more hours to just wait. We're like, they're selling it there. And they're like, we don't care. And they just kept playing.
Yeah. Yeah, the other one, again, not a midnight launch, but like a launch memory I won't forget is when I went all in on the Wii. And like when, it was that thing of, I have all these the videos that I sent, the video I sent Kevin has a bunch of other videos up there of me covering both the PlayStation 3 launch and then the Wii launch. And I remember PS3 launch, so many people were at, and Wii did not have the same buzz, at least in Columbia, Missouri. And it was that when I didn't line up to get the Wii. I lined up to get the Wii pre-order at the GameStop in the mall or EB, whatever it was at the time. And I remember similar thing of like, is the mall going to be open? Like, I know that I've read online that mall's open at this time. GameStop is opening at this time. And I remember walking into this desolate, dead mall, surprised I could get in, and there being one other dude just sitting in front of GameStop. And I went over there, like, you here for a Wii pre-order? He's like, yeah. I'm like, all right, me too. And I sat down and I struck up a conversation with him. This is when, it blew my mind that I had my DS and I forget what I was playing, but he was playing Mario Kart on DS, and how you could share the entire game, right? And we just sat there for hours and played Mario Kart on DS. And then when I walked in hours later, it was like, I'm here to pre-order the Wii, and please give me Mario Kart DS. That was fucking awesome, and I need that. And I bought that. That's fun. It was that thing of, I went and covered the midnight launch of the PS3 at Walmart, and then it was, I don't think I'm confusing this, Best Buy. Then the next morning they didn't do a midnight release, but they had a line in front that they did when they opened the doors there. I went and covered that for the paper. And then when I was done at the Best Buy, it was right across the street from the mall. And I drove over, walked into the GameStop and got my Wii. That at the time, nobody gave a shit about. I remember in the line at Best Buy, it was like 19 or 20 people there for PS3 and 1 person for Wii. And then in the same thing, all the people there that were there for PS3, with the exception of 1 person, was only buying it to flip it on eBay. Everybody thought it was going to be the PS2 situation again, where they could get it and flip it and make a lot of money off of it. Cause like I had done that with that Funko Land pre-order I talked about, where I bought my PS2 on launch night and then never canceled the Funko pre-order. And then when I got it, I put out not an ad in the paper, I guess, but some kind of, maybe a very, very early online message board, not a Craigslist or anything like that. Anyways, sold it in a parking lot of a Best Buy or of a Blockbuster. But then you jump ahead to PS3's launch, and so many people thought it was gonna be the same situation, when in fact it was obviously the exact reverse, where nobody gave a shit about PS3, but the Wii was suddenly the hottest fucking thing. But it was funny that the line for Wii pre-orders never got insane. Then both lines that I was covering, nobody was there at midnight to buy the Wii. They were all there to buy the PS3. And granted, these were different days or whatever. But,
that's so weird though, because here it was. I mean, I can't say the exact opposite, because the PS3 was also selling out and like insanely hot. But like the Wii was like levels that I've never seen a wait. I mean, Kevin and I waited legitimately 16 hours.
Yeah.
for the thing.
It was pretty wild.
And we were like 60th in line.
It was crazy. The line was huge. At one point, one of our friends got in a sleeping bag and just got naked.
No, hold on. You need to give a little more context for this.
No, I don't.
One of our friends was hanging out with us just because he wanted to be
I think
a part
he did
of
it for a pizza slice.
And somebody, no, it wasn't even that. Like someone else, he looked cold because he didn't have a jacket or anything.
Yeah.
And
because he
someone
was
else in
cold.
line, some other family, some mom was like, hey, like,
go.
we have an extra sleeping bag. Do you want to use it? And he was like, oh, thank you. And he goes in the sleeping bag and like 20 minutes pass. And eventually he starts taking, like, throwing his clothes out of it. Like, what are you doing? He's just like, oh, like I sleep naked. And it's like,
what? I don't think context helped that one.
It's like, no, you don't get to. It's like, what the fuck? Like, I'm going to sleep. I mean, it was nighttime at this point because we were there 16 hours. He's like, I'm going to sleep. It's like, yeah, you're in someone else's sleeping bag. He's like,
That's
I can't sleep
funny.
if I'm not naked, man.
That's how it is, man. That's how it
I
goes.
hate him so much.
That's funny.
When we went, only you wanted to buy a Wii, right? But by the end, I think I got one and maybe
You got
True
one as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was good, man. It's good.
I think I waited for one at a Walmart, and it was like that thing of they put you in the garden center, and like, yeah, we'll put you in the electronics section when you're like when we get closer to the launch. And I remember when they actually moved us to the electronics section, there was all these demo TVs, so people were just like people in the line were buying DVDs from the electronics section, so we just watched them while we were in line. So I think we ended up watching like all the Indiana Jones movies while we just waited for the Wii to come out, which actually made it like Walmart's a pretty good place to wait for a console.
Oh, if you can get inside one of these supercenters, that's definitely the way to do it instead of the outside. Because that was the thing of the videos I'm looking at from my the Best Buy thing, right? Where I had the video of the people leaving Walmart with their PS3, but then you look at the kids who were bundled up and outside in the cold in November in Missouri outside of a Best Buy. I need to correct myself because I was like, wait, that doesn't line up. It was that everybody was in line. One person was there to actually enjoy the PS3, and then every time I asked about the Wii, nobody was coming back to buy the Wii because of course that those midnight line, there was a day between them. I'm like, wait, this doesn't line up. And so I never did a story about midnight launches for Wii because there was none. No fan of Missouri bought them at midnight.
I have one launch day story where I pre-ordered the band kit for Beatles Rock Band on the day of launch because I was like, I'm a big Beatles fan. I was really looking forward to this game. I don't know if they put the pre-order in wrong or I said the wrong thing, but they just handed me the game, not the band kit. They're like, we don't have any band kits. Like they didn't send us any or we sold out or whatever. So I'm like, okay, I don't have a band kit from Rock Band. So this is not going to do me a whole lot of good. So I went across the street to the mall. And it like by this point, it was, I think I did this after work. So it was like stuff was closing already. And I go up there, it's like, hey, do you have like a Rock Band 2 kit or something? They're like, yeah, actually, we have one left. You can feel free to get it. But like this was deep into the mall. And a Rock Band kit is big. Huge. Not that big. I'm pretty small. So I'm trying to carry this giant ass Rock Band kit through this closing mall, and all these security guards are like watching me. And I'm like, I just need to get out. Like my car's out that way. And at this point, in retrospect, I'm like, why the fuck didn't they not just help me carry the thing?
Yeah, why didn't they give you a hand?
But like I'm like dragging it across. It's like making this scratching sound across the ground. And as I look like bringing it across, I'm seeing it's making marks on the actual like JCPenney linoleum. And like, I'm like, I don't care. I have to just get this thing out of here. And like I start moving it, and there's a point where I'm like, this is too much. I don't think I can carry this the rest of the way. So I like sit down, sit on top of the kit, and like this is
where I die.
I have to reconsider this plan. And so like a lady who worked at JCPenney came over with just like a bottle of water and gave it to me and just walked away.
Oh man.
Like, I don't know what that was about,
funny.
but like that's hilarious. I eventually did get it out and get it into my car. Like it's fine, but that was one of the more strenuous things I ever had to do to get a game home.
God. Bless, you got anything else?
Oh, sorry.
I mean, as far as like midnight launches, like I feel like the ones that I've been to, aside from that GTA one, have all been pretty standard as far as like going to a Best Buy, lining up, receiving your game, making a few buds along the way, and then or not, like, or just like getting your game and then peacing out. And so like, the ones I remember like vividly are probably the games I was most excited about, which were like Fallout 4. I was extremely excited to play. And I had like an excellent time with it, but like that's one of the games where I was like, it was a GTA 5 situation of like, I need to play this game. I need to be there to get this game at launch as it's launching. There was that. There was I guess Red Dead Redemption 2 was kind of that too. Like I took the day off from work the day after that game came out, so I could just spend the whole day playing Red Dead Redemption 2. And like yeah, like that was a game I ended up not loving compared to like what my expectation for it was. But yeah, like overall, like midnight launches for me have been pretty standard.
Greg, you were about to say something?
So I think when you were in the bathroom, I was talking about, like being more the kind who would pre-order it and then just pick it up on the day, right? Than these midnight launches that we didn't really have. I love, obviously, now the ability just to get things delivered day and date. I love the idea of digital and everything else. But I do want to give a shout out in terms of, I think, really ridiculous memories to when the PlayStation 4 launched. And I'd never seen so many Amazon boxes come to IGN. Like I just sent Kevin the unboxing video. I don't know if you remember this, where everybody unboxed their PlayStation 4 together. It's because we already done it. Me and Scott had gone to New York and covered the PlayStation 4 launch event thing they were doing or whatever. And so when we had whatever it was, I say in the video, but it's like 19 or whatever PlayStation 4s come in. I remember taking photos, like laying on them, which now we would compare it to when the Breaking Bad thing happens where they lay on the pile of money. But I remember doing that. And then when the Xbox Ones came in the exact same way, Kevin, yeah, if you can play this or whatever, just like how cool that was and ridiculous that was. And also, like, you talk about a shared moment because, like, Imran talking about Beatles Rock Band reminds me of Original Rock Band, where that was one that we all got into our cars and went to the Ceremony Mall and perked up our pre-orders for Rock Band and for whatever Guitar Hero came out at the same time because we wanted that guitar, and everybody was coming out with those giant packages or whatever. But to have them all here and like you look at this and see everybody just unboxing their PlayStation 4 and acting like a complete moron. I remember how ridiculous it was and how not pissed UPS was to be dragging them all up there, but how like, what the fuck is happening? Why did you guys always get a lot of packages?
Fucking Fred with the GameCube.
For you there, Fran.
Oh, I love it so much.
UPS actually lost my PS. No, they gave it to the wrong person. So I remember being like spending a week just being incredibly pissed and like calling like Amazon, UPS, like emailing Jeff Bezos, being like, "Where the fuck is my PS4?"
In a similar vein, the Switch launch I think was something special too. Like that was one where I got it delivered via Amazon, and I think they were actually a day late in delivering it. Like there was like that whole issue of like Amazon for a while with Nintendo games just were not reliable, and so I got my Switch and Breath of the Wild a day late, but. The electricity like online, which feels like a weird thing to say, but like that kind of shared experience everybody was having at the same time of like, oh dude, we got the new Nintendo console that's not the Wii U, and this Zelda game that's a 10 out of 10 from everybody, and people are saying that it's one of the greatest games ever made. Like that felt like a magical time, and like booting that game up, booting up the Switch, booting the game up, and having the first experience with it, I thought was something very special.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think that I don't like, not woe is us or anything, but like I do miss sometimes being part of that when I see people even now with their digital clock counting down of like they're so excited to jump into stuff, because there is always that thing of whether we've played it or reviewed it ahead of time, it's getting ready to release out there and everybody's having it. And that's why Animal Crossing's been such a fun ride here. We talked about, I didn't want to bore you with what I've been playing, but like still super addicted to Animal Crossing, still super addicted to Predator. But Animal Crossing is another level where like Saturday, Jen and I woke up, in the afterglow of our anniversary or whatever. And it was like, what do we want to do? We went and got coffee and like came back and made breakfast. And then it was like, let's just play a little Animal Crossing. And then like 6 hours later, right? Like I had gotten a new thing and I wanted to go do a thing. And like the wave of Animal Crossing at launch of people being incredibly stoked for that release, and then them, seeing their midnight or whatever 9 p.m. reactions to it, and then beyond that, the fact that it's maintained and still seeing people do amazing stuff in there you wouldn't expect. It's so cool.
You can go to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames to write in your responses to the show, just like Phantom23001 did. He writes in, urgent. This is for May 5th Gamescast. I'm writing this as I am watching the show. This is the story of a missed midnight release party. It was the Thursday night of the Switch release. I planned to go with my friends to get the Switch and Breath of the Wild at our Princeton Best Buy, New Jersey represent. Unfortunately, as soon as I got home from school, I came down with a horrible stomach bug and spent the night sick in the bathroom, spending some of it watching A Clockwork Orange. I haven't watched it since. And I got the system in early March as a birthday gift. Love the show. I hope this response gets in. It did, Phantom 23001. It did. A couple other fun ones you guys wrote in. Dalton F says the game launch I was most hyped for was Halo Reach. Halo 3 was my introduction to the franchise, and my friends and I played it almost every night for years. It's probably the game I've played the most in my life. The double announcement of Reach and Bungie leaving once it was finished made me believe we were in for something special. It's still my favorite Halo multiplayer suite, as it struck a great balance of pushing the franchise forward, but also keeping the hallmarks intact. The campaign was dope, especially the last mission. It was one of the last games that my entire high school friend group played together regularly, so it will always be special to me. And then I think I had one more.
While you're looking, I remember that I was at the Wii U launch because I pre-ordered and I went like pick it up the day of. That's when I knew that thing was going to fail because the clerk told me like she set up a big table of like Wii U's and she's like, yeah, we set this big thing thinking people would come get it, but like you're the first one here to grab it. And I came like an hour after they opened, so I was like, yeah, that's probably not a good sign for it.
There were 13 people in line at the place I went to. And Kev, don't say anything else about the story of the Wii U's, okay? I did get a girl's number that day in that line.
Nice.
So that was
I'm not saying anything else, Tim Tam. Your secrets are safe with me.
Thank you. I appreciate you, Kevin. The nanobiologist has the last one. I honestly felt the most hype for two game launches, Kingdom Hearts 3 and World of Warcraft Warlords of Draenor. Kingdom Hearts 3, one game, Kingdom Hearts 3, still had a great time with, but Warlords was during my heyday of WoW love. Sadly, that expansion was a buggy mess and ruined the night for me because of their big idea, Garrisons, which didn't work. Of course, it went down as the second worst expansion ever made. So there you
Kingdom
go.
Hearts 3 that's an example of what Greg was talking about. Like, I got that game early, so I my hype was expended by the time the game actually came out. So like I was very into the game and I liked it a decent bit, but I had finished it by that point. It was like, yeah, this doesn't go exactly where I wanted it to go, or like parts of this are actually pretty bad. But I didn't want to like rain on anyone's parade that was like, oh yeah, Kingdom Hearts 3 finally.
God, yeah. I mean, in a similar vein of that, right? Not that it was bad at all, and I know that. Well, I just loaded the statement, and you all laugh when I say it. But Uncharted 3, that was in terms of an early release that we would never forget. I remember hounding our PR person at PlayStation about that thing, of just like, when are you gonna get it? When are you gonna get it? When can we have it? And this is when they used to still give out burned discs, you know what I mean, to play on your test kits or whatever for PS3. And I remember the day they were like, all right, we just got it, we're burning discs now. And I remember me and Colin, like, I was on it must have been AIM or whatever, but being like, all right, cool, we're on our way. And they were like, no, we didn't. Like, we're in the car, we'll see you in a second. And we fucking drove down there, and they're like, fucking, here's your game, get the fuck out of our hair. We're like, see you later.
Oh man, ladies and
Different
gentlemen,
world.
I know, right? This has been the Kind of Funny Gamescast. We'll be back next week, but if you want more of this, we're about to do a post show. We'll be diving into some of your questions that you sent us. If you want to be a part of that, go to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. You know what's up. If you don't, it's all good too. Until next time.